Welcome back to the Crypto World channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still playing out this short-term bearish signal as the price is just about to run into this critical area of support as more Bitcoin liquidations are likely coming very soon, while Ethereum is still rejecting from this critical area of resistance. So I'll be talking about all of that and so much more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before we take a look at the Bitcoin charts today, taking a look at some news today, because today we actually had an FOMC meeting, also known as a Fed meeting, where the Federal Reserve basically decided on interest rates, and essentially they just decided to keep interest rates the same, which was actually the expected outcome. And so overall, we didn't really see any major effects from this news because this was relatively neutral, so it didn't really affect the markets all that much. And so with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today, this is on the 4-day Bitcoin chart, looking at the super trend indicator. And as of right now, this indicator is still sitting in the green, which is basically pointing towards a larger bullish trend or a bull market. But as I always say, even during a larger bullish market, we can see a lot of sideways consolidations or crashes or pullbacks here and there during a larger bullish market. And this super trend indicator would only confirm a bearish trend reversal signal, basically pointing towards a bear market flipping back into the red if we see a 4-day candle close back below around 55.8k. So basically breaking back below around 56,000. If that actually happens, then we'll start to see a trend reversal signal on this chart right here. But considering that has not happened, at least for now, we're still technically within the larger bullish market based on this indicator right here. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin chart, at least for now, the price of Bitcoin is still forming this massive descending broadening wedge pattern, with the support line sitting at just above 54,000 and the line of resistance still sitting just underneath 72,000. And so as of right now, considering we have not seen a confirmed breakout above resistance or a break to the downside below support with confirmation, at least for now, we do not have any price target that's actively in play based on this pattern right here, because we have not confirmed any breakout. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, what we have actually just seen since the Fed meeting just a few hours ago was actually a short-term pullback here in the DXY, which is a bit of a bullish signal to pay attention to. But as I've said time and time again here on the channel, ultimately when we're looking at the DXY, we're looking at more of the trend or momentum, not every single individual little move in the DXY or the price on this chart right here. Because sometimes these two can move in the same direction when we're talking about the individual movements. So sometimes we could see a bearish move in the DXY at the same time as a bearish move in the price of Bitcoin, or vice versa. Basically, they're both moving in the bullish direction. And so that's why I like to focus on more of the trend or momentum in the price of Bitcoin and the DXY here when we're talking about this chart right here, because that is more accurate. Overall, when we're looking at the bullish trends in the DXY, that is almost always bearish for Bitcoin. And of course, when we're looking at the bearish trends in the DXY, that is almost always bullish for Bitcoin in terms of the trend and momentum. And so as of right now, this is something to pay attention to in the DXY, but overall, we don't really have a strong trend or momentum to either direction, at least as of right now in the DXY. We're basically chopping around sideways, which is not really giving us much of a signal for the price of Bitcoin on this chart right here. But with that being said, taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, what we have clearly seen over the last few days is a strong rejection once again from this same area of resistance that I've been warning about, sitting in between around 67,000 to around 68.3k. And that's pretty much exactly where we saw a rejection from based on these daily candle closes. And so once again, as I've said over and over again recently here on the channel, I would only expect to move up towards the next resistance close to the all-time high at around 72 to 74,000 if we start seeing daily candle closes confirming well above 68.3k and ideally flipping that into new support. And so for the time being, we're still struggling around this resistance that I've been talking about here on the channel. And as for support, we should expect a lot of support in between around 63 to 64,000 approximately, which we have seen in the past over the last couple of weeks. And for as long as the price of Bitcoin simply holds above that area of support right there, so holds above 63,000 at least, then technically speaking, we can still remain within this bullish trend if we're still forming these higher lows and higher highs. Because once again, even during a bullish trend, we can see some short-term pullbacks from time to time, just for as long as we don't break the higher low, higher high price structure. And if we're zooming into the shorter term, looking at the 8-hour time frame, obviously, as I've already warned about over the last few days, we have this bearish divergence actively playing out. And over the last couple of days, since I said it right around here, we have seen more bearish price action as expected here in the short term. Because once again, a bearish divergence usually plays out in the form of either a short-term pullback or at the very least some sideways price action, so neutral price action or bearish price action. But as I said yesterday, I'll not be expecting a significant amount of bullish price action just in the imminent short term for the next few days or so. And so once again, as I've already said for the last few days, at least for now, this bearish divergence is still playing out, and I continue to expect this to play out at least over the next day, maybe over the next couple of days, possibly longer, but at least over the next 1 to 2 days. And so that's where it would become important to pay attention to this area of support, because obviously if we continue this short-term pullback here, we're going to run into this area of support, and that could prevent the price heading further in the bearish direction if we have a lot of buyers in that range, as we've seen previously. And so one of the most likely outcomes here just in the short term is a little bit more of a short-term cool-off here, like what we've seen over the last few days. But then as we're running into that area of support, we might actually slow down that bearish price action. And as I've also mentioned recently here on the channel, if we actually see a break below around 63,000 with daily candle closes breaking below that support, then we can start flipping more bearish again in terms of the trend and momentum. But at least as of right now, based on the current information, the situation right now is that we're playing out a short-term cool-off from this bearish divergence as expected during this bullish trend, at least as of right now. And if we're taking a look at this 8-hour Bitcoin chart, right now we're potentially seeing a break below this Fibonacci level of support, which is sitting at around 65.6 to 65.7K. But as of right now, we'll still need to see an 8-hour candle close confirming that break to the downside. And in that case, the next Fibonacci level of support is the 38.2% Fibonacci level of support, which is sitting at around 63.2K approximately. And you can see that in the past, over the last 1 to 2 weeks or so, we've seen a lot of support around that exact level right there. And if we were to see a break below around 63.2K, or essentially a break below around 60,000 below this area of support, then in that case, the next short-term support would be sitting at around 61.2K. And below that, we have the important golden pocket area of support sitting in between around 58.7K to around 59.3K. But at least for now, around 63 to 64,000 is still the important area of support to pay attention to. And if you want to trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take just about all of my trades over on Bybit, so I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is a massive lucky draw happening right now over on Bybit for a limited time, where you could potentially win up to $100,000 just by trading crypto using the link down below this video. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. And so I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bitflex down below this video as an alternative crypto exchange. And with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, right now the price of Bitcoin is taking out a lot of liquidity here in the short term, which was sitting at roughly around 65,000. And as of right now, the price of Bitcoin is moving closer towards this other level of liquidity to the downside at just above 63,000, more specifically in between around 63.3K to 63,500. And so that's definitely an area of interest to pay attention to here in the short term. Once again, it is likely that the price moves towards these areas of liquidations right here. So it's likely that the price is going to move towards around 63,500, give or take, before potentially we could see some sort of bounce around this support. And we still have a lot of liquidity up here at just above $70,000, around 70.3K to 70,500 approximately. But with that being said, even though we have that liquidity to the upside, the liquidity that is to the downside is much closer to the price. So it'll be much easier for the price to hit this downside liquidity first. And of course, we cannot just focus everything on one chart by itself. We need to look at multiple charts, indicators, patterns, and signals to figure out what is most likely going to happen. And right now, we still have that bearish divergence actively playing out. And with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, right now the price of ETH on this chart is still just chopping around sideways in a massive sideways price range with these same areas of support and resistance. And so ultimately, nothing has really changed on this chart right here over the last 1 day. So if you're new to the channel and you want to know more about this chart, then check out my last video here on the channel. And so zooming into the shorter term, looking at that 8-hour time frame, and right now the price of ETH is continuing the rejection from this Fibonacci level of previous support, now acting as new resistance, sitting right at around 33.70. And if we were to see a confirmed breakout back above that level right there, with candle closes back above that level, then in that case, the next short-term resistance is basically at around 3,500. And as for short-term support, we're currently breaking below a bit of support right here, which was sitting at around 32.60. And below that, our next short-term support based on this low is sitting at around 3.2K. And we also have a bit more support at around 31.50. And below those levels, we also have the golden pocket area of support, and also based on previous support and resistance, sitting right at around 30.50 to 30.80, which is an important area of support to pay attention to. And as for the trend and momentum, as I've said recently here on the channel, once again, we don't really have a trend or momentum to either direction. We're just chopping around sideways, looking relatively neutral, playing out a lot of sideways volatility. And with that being said, taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, and we can clearly see that Solana is continuing the rejection from this exact area of resistance that I've been warning about over and over again here on the channel, sitting in between around 183 to 187. And if we were to see a confirmed breakout with daily candle closes back above 187, then in that case, we could see a move up towards around 200 to 210, which would be the next resistance. But obviously, we have not seen any confirmed breakout above 187. We only saw just a candle wick to the upside, no candle closes above this resistance. And so that means, at least for now, 183 to 187 is still the area of resistance to pay attention to. And as for support, right now, the price of Solana is running into this area of support, sitting in between around 170 to 175. And if we actually start to see daily candle closes confirm below 170, then in that case, we can start flipping more bearish again in terms of the trend and momentum. And so at least as of right now, for as long as we're still holding above this area of support, if we see a bounce very soon holding above this area right here, then it's technically still possible we can remain within the bullish trend if we hold this area of support. But once again, if we break below this support with daily candle closes below 170, in that case, it would be creating a new lower low in the candle closes right here, which is a sign of a bearish trend. And of course, anytime where we break below important support, that's also a bearish signal as well. And so in that situation, if we were to break below 170 with daily candle closes, then in that case, the next short-term support that I'll be watching is sitting right at around 160. And below that level of support, we also have a little bit more support based on previous resistance, now acting as new support at around 154. And below that, we have more support in between 140 to 144. And of course, one of the other reasons as to why we're seeing this short-term pullback right now in the price of Solana, on top of the fact that we're seeing this rejection from this resistance, is due to the fact that we're playing out an active bearish divergence here on this 12-hour Solana chart. And obviously, I warned about this in my last video here on the channel, saying we should be expecting either bearish price action or at the very least neutral price action. Basically, we should not be expecting a lot of bullish price action in the short term because the bearish divergence is still actively playing out. And I continue to expect this bearish divergence to keep playing out at least for the next couple of days, possibly longer. It is possible that this could play out over the next week or 2 weeks, but at least for the next couple of days is what I expect this bearish divergence to continue to play out. And so the only hope in the short term right now for the price of Solana, for the bulls out there, is if the price holds this area of support. If we can bounce around this area, then we have a little bit of hope here in the short term. But even in that case, if we hold this area of support, at least for the next couple of days, I would not necessarily expect a massive bullish move because once again, the bearish divergence is still playing out. So even if we hold this support, we're likely going to see a bit of sideways price action for the time being. But once again, as I said earlier, if we break below 170 with daily candle closes, then we can start flipping more bearish again in terms of the trend and momentum while the bearish divergence is still actively playing out. And so that is the situation right now here in the short term. And if you want to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links down below this video to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.